What is up, everybody? Calling all angels. This is a dire one today. All right. We've got to talk about the last week for Angel City FC. All right, so I've not been really in for some World Cup stuff in a bit, and the last thing I did was a week ago. We did a League of Ireland match. I am hoping to do another one, this time from the Women's League proper. But that will be running early tomorrow. It'll also largely depend on if I get up, because unfortunately, timing on this is not great. I do intend to be up in time. Ideally, I'd like to do the 4:45 a.m. match, but the 5:45 might be more likely. And if that does occur, it'll actually line up perfectly on timing, I think. But I'll double check on the timing there. Don't quote me on that. If it doesn't work out, we will likely do a World Cup match instead to make up for it. Obviously, today is the Juneteenth match, USA-Australia. We won't be able to do that because it's today and got other stuff going. But it does look like I could do the Tunisia-Japan match on a Saturday, if not the Spain-Saudi Arabia on Sunday. So, and we might do both. Heck, we'll see. But all those commentaries will be decided at another time. Mostly playing it by ear here because we got it's a lot going. What I do need to talk about, what is the priority, is the reason for this channel, and that is Angel City FC. And stuff's been going. Lot of ins, lots of outs, lots of moving pieces over this last week, and we need to discuss it. It's funny. I had just recorded what needs to be done, and then it became outdated because I went and looked to make sure that there was stuff going, and so I scrapped the whole thing. So this. It took a little bit of time, and I'm glad it took a little bit of time because suddenly more things happen. So I will do a redo of the what does Angel City need to do in the next go-around, now that we have a lot more information. I'll make that video probably pop in this weekend, and then next week, as it will be another week off for NWSL. We'll be doing a lot more NWSL content, building ourselves back up, getting ourselves rehyped. For now, 3 big things have happened with Angel City since the last time we spoke. Obviously, most of you are pretty well aware of just the standings, but for those that do not know, Angel City, they had an extremely hot start to this year. Really good effort, where they were at the top of the standings for quite a few weeks. Dropped a little bit after a loss right before the break, but they were still up in that top 3, top 4, and have just played horribly in the second round of games. So they went from a really great effort for the first 5, and now we're sitting through 11 matches, so the record is now 4 wins, 1 draw, 6 defeats, and now sitting at 13 points. So let's be clear, this is not wipe the season dead effort. Obviously, there is they have matches in hand. Just on the one match alone, they could pull themselves ahead of Houston, no problem. And they pull within 1 of Orlando, who's currently occupying the number 8 spot. And the other teams that are currently less than 3 points ahead are Denver and Seattle, 2 very beatable opponents. But as of right now, being more than 1 win out of the playoff picture should be a sign that stuff needed to change, but they've definitely taken that to heart, as they have gone with some big changes. First up, let's talk Kennedy Fuller. Kennedy Fuller is a midfielder. She normally would play in the middle, but with Mayara present, she's been playing more on the sides. And being a winger hasn't been awful, but the midfield has definitely been inconsistent. It's clear the lineup had some issues, especially in the midfield, because the sync up wasn't there. Watching the games, I would frequently cite one of the most consistent problems, besides the inability to finish, had been the midfield's lack of consistency. And I did think some changes needed to be made on that lineup. I would not have expected Fuller to be the one who gets dumped, especially with her being still fairly young, having a lot of success early on. But she has been shipped over to Bay FC. Incidentally, Bay FC is 2 points behind us in the standings, sitting in the bottom 4. But they needed a little bit more stability there. As we know, Bay has been live streamed on here. They're a little bit top heavy. They rely on a couple of stars, and that's very inconsistent effort otherwise. And what Kennedy Fuller will provide is someone with a lot of in-game experience from just last season and so far this year, and possibly a different look. So I do think it's an upgrade for Bay. She was also in a contract year for Angel City, so it's not... It would be something where I would have preferred she be able to be developed long-term, especially with her being fairly, very young. A lot of chances to move up, but because it's happening in a contract year, it's not a killer. We basically lose her for 19 matches of the last 19 of her contract, and then it'll be up to Bay to decide what to do from there. And it does streamline the midfield a little bit, so maybe limits some of the options, gets a more trained winger to go in. So I do think there is some positive to be made here. I can definitely see an argument for it. A little less so with the coach leaving. I haven't been able to find too deep on Alexandra Strauss being removed, at least in the early goings. But I'm sure more will come as time progresses. Those who don't know, Alexander Strauss came in middle of last season, and this was his first full run with the squad. And we figured, okay, this will be his chance to really establish something. And here we are, a little over a third of the way in the season, and he's already gone. We can debate the merits of relieving a coach in the middle of a cold spell. And for all we know, this was mutual. He's frustrated with the way the system is working. But there's a much bigger problem here. And the problem at hand when it comes to this is... I'm going to put this. If you've seen a lot more of the playoff driven teams, there's usually a little bit more consistency. And in particular, I think about not just in soccer, but I see other sports where you'll have coaches who are there for ages. Like, using the NFL as a example, you saw John Harbaugh for roughly 2 decades consecutively with only one Super Bowl, but his team was constantly in contention. Mike Tomlin, relatively perennial playoff person, never had a losing record in his entire run of, again, around 2 decades, and given a lot of time to really progress, a lot of building time. The more chaotic franchises are the ones who usually eject coaches fairly quickly. Looking at teams like the Cleveland Browns, teams like the New York Jets. And the Jets in particular are something I can kind of see a little bit of danger in like Angel City making moves that resemble a Jets move or resemble a Clippers move, where you're feeling the need to prove yourself and win now so you can be viewed as on the level of teams that are already more established. Like with the Jets, they're trying to establish themselves more with the Giants. Clippers trying to establish themselves more with the Lakers. Angel City, I almost look at their branding. They want to be a premier brand and do have a lot of value within NWSL, but in terms of getting the mainstream attention, they lag far behind the Los Angeles Sparks, who have been an institution there for 30 years. They might actually have a lower presence than LAFC in MLS, which would be concerning, but LAFC is a champion. They've won a title for the city of Los Angeles, and they do have a healthy bit of support in the community because of it. So their stadium mate has a dedicated base, and we're looking at Angel City. They're having inconsistent success, and thus the attendance is inconsistent. It sits somewhere anywhere between 1/3 to slightly above half full in a more than 25,000 seat stadium, except in really notable games like where San Diego's in town or like a rival or a really big opponent. And so you're looking from a business perspective. You're seeing the team making panic moves to try to make a splash quickly, but ironically, it's the same thing that makes you get looked at as unstable. Bush League. It's the thing that raises a red flag with players with the New York Jets. They don't go to the Jets unless they are just looking for a cash grab. And occasionally you'll get a coach who really wants to change the culture, and he'll get some players to buy in, and you can get short-term success. But ultimately, it comes down to the broken management and Woody Johnson's ownership. With Angel City, I do wonder if it's a lot of the investor group coming in, wanting things to happen quickly. Again, Jerry Jonesing it, Johnsoning it. So it's these kind of teams where you're doing things to your own detriment rather than just letting something build organically. It was the same mistake I think that befell Cleveland for a long time, and then they were building something well, and they made a trade for Deshaun Watson and crashed it. And they've regressed for a few years and now have to get out from under the contract. That's the kind of thing I worry about when I see stuff like coach transitions, because it tells me, especially mid-year, 2 years in a row, that if you cannot retain coaches for long enough that they don't feel like they can build, you're going to not get the highest quality people. Now, with all that said, that is not to disparage who is actually going to be in place. As we know, with Alex Strauss leaving, this will lead to the assistant being moved up. And it sounds like he's got his own experience. This is going to be a chance for him to prove himself. He's going to come in hungry. And I do wonder, having him as an interim, does this mean that they've come to trust him and they want to give him the rest of the season to try to prove himself before they look for a more permanent solution? Is he in the running? Is this next, are the next 19 games, hopefully at least 20, because there will be a playoff game at that point if they're successful? Could that be his trial period? And so there's a lot already being thought there. What I am thinking, and I'm hoping is strategic, it is to put someone in place that is going to be more aggressive in terms of the offense and helping make sure that there is more finishing at the goal. Again, there have been no shortage of opportunities for Angel City this season so far. They've had countless shots at goal in multiple games and have just failed to capitalize. It's always that last pass, getting it in. They have a scoring opportunity, but the last pass doesn't get in for a clean shot, or it's a weak shot or a weak pass and the timing is off. There's always something that isn't clicking, and it leads to low scoring efforts by Angel City and them simply getting overrun because they've overcommitted. That is a structural thing that comes down in association football. When you're dealing on offense and you're overloading because your standard front line is not doing what it needs to do, it forces the back line to play more forward, which means now you're exposed on the backside. It forces movement in your midfield to try to set up more plays, but now they're more widely spread among different parts of the field, and now your midfield isn't in place to set things up in open space. So when one lane or one level of the formation isn't clicking, everything else starts to come apart. And we've been seeing that offensively as the strikers really haven't been having a lot of success outside of early season. Sveindes Jansdottir really was that driving force. But now it's not been as in place as they've needed to adjust formation to fit more people. This leads me to the final move that happened here, and that was Ali Setner from Kansas City Current, who Angel City just beat and who are currently sitting in the top 12. What is interesting is in signing Setner, again, this is another... They replaced someone who was in their contract year with another person who's in their contract year. But in Setner's case, she has won with Kansas City. Like, they were literally the shield. They're the defending shield holder. So they are the functional best team in the league, and she's a proven forward, a proven striker, someone who can score goals. And it tells me that that was primarily the reason for our recent movement to get rid of Kennedy Fuller. You've moved out, because when Fuller left, it was an exchange for cash. It was a chance for funding. The trade, if I were looking at it, it was $500,000 in intra-league transfers and $20,000 in allocation money. Now, meanwhile, Ali Setner was given up for $850,000 in intra-league transfer. So pretty much the entire trade for Fuller, plus a bit of extra money that was already in place, has been used to get Setner over from Kansas City. Now, that $850,000, we will see what Kansas City does with it. I am very curious what their plan is. Is it something they're going to use this year? Is this something they're going to save? And save for next season. That largely depends on how big of a title shot they believe they have this year. Whether they think they need another year to really make a challenge at the Shield, a challenge at the Cup. I would suspect, though, that because they're sitting at 21 points and are only 4 points off of the top of the standings, they're going to use that $850,000 for at least one player, if not two. So we'll be keeping an eye out on Kansas City there. Now, as for what Setner does, assuming she works within the formation, this provides another dimension to that front line. Potentially, this means your attackers are a little more balanced. It means there's a dual threat, especially once Jansdottir can be back in a lot more consistently. That would be a hell of a dual threat. However, right now, Setner's in a contract year. So again, you've taken her on for 19 games. 20 if you're in the playoffs, maximum of 22. So her time in Angel City's Sol Rosa and Black is going to really come down to how much she enjoys it here. I'm looking at the quote that she placed in the. So this was in the actual media statement. So I'll read hers off. I'm reading this one off, by the way, as opposed to the others, because this is actually a player that's still on the roster. I'm incredibly excited to join Angel City FC. What makes this club special is its commitment to excellence on the field and meaningful impact off it. The ambition, passion, and purpose throughout the organization are inspiring, and I'm eager to contribute in every way I can. Throughout my career, I've tried to approach every opportunity with more grit, more grace, and a commitment to doing more good. And I'm excited to bring that mindset to Angel City and the Los Angeles community. I'm looking forward to competing alongside this talented group, connecting with the club's incredible supporters, and helping make a positive impact both on and off the field. I can't wait to get started, experience the atmosphere at BMO Stadium. So, obviously that's very processed, and it's just a lot of it is ingratiating yourself to the fan base and everyone involved. But what is important on that is that she is going to go for everything she can here, especially being in a contract year. This is going to be her chance to really prove herself, to make a larger check, whether it's with Angel City or with someone else. So, a lot to look at here. I'm hoping this means a lot more goals scored, more of a run being made from Angel City. This is a very new-look squad. I'm going to sit with this and think how much this could go. I do think the roster has upgraded. It has addressed an issue that is needed. It's addressed streamlining the midfield, which was a secondary issue, I thought. But it has come at the cost of a coach. And I wonder if these movements were being talked about and Strauss was opposed to them. I wonder what was it that actually caused the breakup, because a mid-season shakeup a year after a mid-season shakeup is very unusual. We will look to the future on that. But for now, until we find out, let's just ride the ride together. We will see what is coming, and we'll talk a little more about Angel City in the coming days. Till that moment comes, be safe, enjoy your football, and go Angels.